Hi Leo, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope from the 3rd of February to the 9th of February. So let's just get into it. So the 3rd of February, Mercury in Aquarius in your 7th house, trine Jupiter in Gemini in your 11th house. So this is focusing on the big picture and really dreaming big, coming up with some exciting experiences with love in that 7th house and also the 11th house of friendships as well, and bringing those together. It could also be an idea of trying to balance committed relationships with friendships as well, and trying to make sure that you factor everybody in. On the 4th, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in the 11th house of friendships and also networking. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance and opportunity and luck as well. And it goes direct now, so we can be more active with our goals. In Gemini, that 3rd house of communication, in the 11th house of friendships, you could be tripped on me there then. You could be really focusing on having an opportunity or expansion with your friendships, being able to communicate with them more, generally being more social, but you might also get more invitations during this time, which then leads to more opportunities. So if you get invitations or opportunities, say yes. On the same day, Venus enters Aries in the 9th house. So Venus in Aries is debilitated. It's not as great as Venus in Pisces, which we just had, for example. But it is still quite nice, and Venus is that harmonious planet of love as well, so you can kind of use that with the friendships and kind of try and combine them. In the 9th house of spirituality, travel and study, you could have more harmony around these topics for the next sort of 3.5 weeks. On the 5th, Moon in Taurus, 10th house of career, sextile Mars in Cancer in the 12th house. So emotions can really energize you here, especially with, that Mars in Cancer. Take that motivation, and use it. Mars in Cancer is in its fall, so it's not as great, but you can still use the motivation. In the 10th house or the 12th house, this could be some kind of emotions between career and your mental health and kind of how they impact you, not necessarily in a good way. So again, use that as motivation. On the 6th, the Moon in Gemini in the 11th house trines Pluto in Aquarius in your 7th house. So this is really empowering yourself emotionally, internally, with that Moon in Gemini, with your friendships, and then channeling that passion from Pluto and Aquarius, which is very humanitarian, into your committed relationships, or trying to get a relationship if you don't have one, and again using that to transform something into a better situation. Again, something to do with friendships and relationships, like you want these two to coexist somehow. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in that 9th house, sextile Pluto and Aquarius in the 7th house. So emotional bonds quite strongly here with others, and they can be strengthened. The committed relationship of the 7th house with that Venus in Aries is it's really spiritual as well, and wanting to feel comfortable with somebody that you feel emotionally and physically intimate with, but you feel safe and secure, and you feel like they understand you on a soul level. But with that 7th house, passions can be really high during this time for you. On the 8th, the Moon in Cancer in the 12th house is squaring Venus in Aries in the 9th house. So you might be a little bit more stubborn than usual about something to do with study or travel and with your mental health, and you're trying to set a boundary here, but for some reason the other situation that you're dealing with, whether it be a person or an event or what have you, is just not budging. So you need to compromise, otherwise you could get a little bit stuck there. So it's almost like you have to move out the way, otherwise it's going to hit you. Basically, you have to move out the way. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 7th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 7th house. Ideas around committed relationships can really flourish here. You could feel really excited about love on the horizon. Again, if you're single, this is something that's coming. And if you are in a relationship, this is just more the deepening of the commitment, engagement, marriage, kids, whatever you deem to be a strengthening of your bond. On the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 12th house is trining Saturn in Pisces in the 8th house. So the energy might be a little bit off, to be honest, with that Mars in Cancer. Again, it's in its fall, it's retrograding, it's not great. And you could feel a little bit more disciplined about setting boundaries around intimacy, especially with that 8th house, Saturn in Pisces, to protect your mental health. So an element of trust coming through this week, Leo, where you're having to really set your boundaries or say, I'm interested in love and I want it to flourish, but there's something about my intimacy here. It could also be something to do with your savings or your money as well, and somebody's trying to invade that, and you're like, look, no, broke as a joke. I do not need you to be doing stuff like that. So you're setting your boundaries during that time. But generally this week, it looks like very good energy for committed relationships and also focusing on your friendships as well, Leo. So it's pretty nice. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll move on to Virgo. Hi Virgo, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope from the 3rd of February to the 9th of February, and let's just get into it. On the 3rd, Mercury in Aquarius in your 6th house is trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 10th house. So focus on the big picture here and dream big, you know, come up with some exciting experiences when it comes to co-workers, work environment and your career, and how these two can coexist. Because on the 4th, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in your 10th house of career, which is just fabulous. So Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion and opportunity. Goes direct, which means we can be more active with our goals and really go for it. We're not thinking about them anymore. Gemini, that planet of communication and productivity, and the 10th house of career. So put this all together, wonderful expansion of your career, a promotion, better job, you know, salary increase, whatnot. Generally very good abundance here, and it's really nice. Actually, on the same day, Venus also enters Aries in the 8th house, which could signal some really good harmony with investments and money as well. So Venus in Aries is debilitated. It's not as nice as Venus in Pisces, for example. However, it's still quite active and nice. Venus in Aries in the 8th house as well could be a bit of spicy energy, because Aries is ruled by Mars, which is aggression and sex drive, and the 8th house is all about intimacy and sort of, you know, spicy energy basically. So this could be, you know, with that Venus as well, with all that love and harmony together, could be some, you know, could be some nice bedroom activity here. If you're not interested in that, then it's going to be more to do with savings or trying to get a level of trust fitted into your life, really. Again, it could be also the way you're coexisting with your career and work environment as well. On the 5th, Moon in Taurus in the 9th house, sextile Mars in Cancer in the 11th house. So emotions from that Mars in Cancer can really energize you, and you can use that as motivation to take action. Could be that you want to be able to network with somebody to help your studies, you want to be able to travel and meet new people, or you want to be able to have more spiritual experiences with your friends, whatever kind of resonates with you. On the 6th, Moon in Gemini in the 10th house, trining Pluto in Aquarius in the 6th house. So you really need to empower yourself emotionally and internally with that Moon in Gemini, and channel the passionate energy that Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring when it comes to transformation and trying to be better. So that 10th house of career with the 6th house of co-workers and work environment, again, where do you want to be? Where do you want to work? This could also pertain to remote working, or if you've had jobs where you've been everywhere around the world, that kind of thing. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 8th house is sextiling Pluto and Aquarius in the 6th house. So the emotional bonds with others can really be strengthened here with that Venus in Aries in the 8th house. You can take a more comfortable approach with intimacy, perhaps. Again, sextile Pluto and Aquarius in the 6th house, it could be that you're trying to fit getting more money with your co-workers and trying not to disrupt the balance too much. Passions can run really high with that Venus in Aries in the 8th house, so be careful with that. But generally, I think this could be a good energy to use and be more motivated. On the 8th, there's a Moon in Cancer in the 11th house, squaring Venus in Aries in the 8th house. So you might be more stubborn than usual about something, probably something to do with friendships and, you know, trust. Could also be that you don't want your friends kind of getting into any kind of energy you have in relationships, and, you know, just a bit like, nah, I think I need to keep these two separate a little bit. Because there could be an issue where they want to do something and you don't, and you aren't the one to budge, like they're not going to budge, so you have to be the one to compromise, and it can be a little bit annoying. So there's just a bit of energy there. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 6th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 6th house. So ideas around, again, work environment, co-workers, and also physical health can really flourish here. You can feel really excited about things on the horizon, getting the body correct, you know, as it were, and feeling really good about just general wellness and your work environment. Whatever resonates to you. On the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 11th house, trining Saturn in Pisces in the 7th house. So energy might be a bit off here with that Mars in Cancer. It's retrograding, it's in its fall, not great. You might feel that you need to put some kind of boundary in place when it comes to committed relationships or your love life with your friendships. Again, something about friendships and love life is not coexisting quite right at the moment. Someone's getting in the way, or you don't quite feel like you can trust somebody in your inner circle at the moment. So you might want to be careful of that. But overall, Virgo, you have a pretty nice week, especially with career. A lot of focus on that with Jupiter direct in Gemini and Venus in Aries in the 8th house as well, which is great for shared finances, as well as sort of building up a kind of trust and a bond with somebody. But overall, it's quite nice. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll move on to Libra. Hi Libra, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope from the 3rd of February to the 9th of February. So let's just get into it. 3rd of February, Mercury in Aquarius in the 5th house, trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 9th house. So this is focusing on the big picture, quite literally, with that Jupiter in the 9th house, and dreaming really big, coming up with exciting experiences to do with your love life and dating, creativity or children, and your spirituality and traveling. You could want to travel and date at the same time, or try to find something or somebody that gives you some cultural enrichment. On the 4th, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in your 9th house. So Jupiter is that plan of expansion and opportunity and luck as well. Direct also means that we're going for our goals and really actually doing things. Gemini, the 3rd house of productivity and communication. Put that all together with the 9th house. This is really nice energy for, you know, traveling to far-flung places and having that expanded. But also you could have an experience where you have some luck with studying. But I really see it more that you're getting very focused on your spirituality and the things that you actually enjoy in life. So there's a lot of abundance coming for that until June the 9th. On the same day, Venus enters Aries in the 7th house of committed relationships for you. Wonderful energy. So the 7th house with Venus is basically together. Obviously, Venus rules Libra as well. Because of this, Venus in Aries is debilitated. So it's not as nice as Venus in Pisces, for example, or Venus in Libra or Taurus. But it's still good energy to use because it's very motivated and strong-willed in that 7th house. Really nice energy for the next 3.5 weeks or so to, you know, go after a nice committed relationship if you don't have one already, or to strengthen the bonds in a relationship that you already have as well. And again, use that Jupiter in the 9th house, which is basically, the Jupiter is the 9th house, to have more spiritual experience and love as well. On the 5th, Moon in Taurus in the 8th house, sextile Mars in Cancer in the 10th house. So the emotions from both the Moon and Mars can really energize you here. You know, Moon in Taurus in the 8th house with Mars in Cancer the 10th, this could suggest career and investments for the future coming together. Could be really starting to figure out what you want to do with your career for the rest of your life. Sounds daunting, but you know what I mean? Because the 8th house always makes me think of like pension, you know, investments for the future, but also kind of thinking about what you can trust in this economy as well and kind of being serious about that as well. On the 6th, Moon in Gemini in the 9th house is trining Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house. So really empower yourself emotionally and channel that passionate energy to transform and be better when it comes to relationships and your spiritual journey, because there's a real energy here about, again, injecting some purpose into your life. That's all about having fun, but doing it in the right way. And the reason I say that is because I don't get like a hedonistic view here. This is more like doing things for the good of everyone else. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 7th house is sextile Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house. Ultimate love and dating energy here. This is real emotional bonds with others and they can be strengthened here. Again, Venus in Aries in that 7th house of commitment and love. Pluto in Aquarius, that 5th house of dating and sort of like more creativity. Beautiful, really comfortable with intimacy. Passion is very, very high. Use it here. Again, if you're not interested in love and you're like, yeah, okay, this is all lovey-dovey, but it's not pertaining to me, just use that energy of like getting really vibrant to go after what you want. On the 8th, Moon in Cancer in that 10th house squares Venus in Aries in the 7th house. So although this could be something to do with career and love life and this kind of being stubborn, like someone in your relationship is not getting on with something you're doing in your career, I really also see this as something about a contract with work as well, because 7th house is also shared contracts. So it could be that you're having issues with work generally here. And the problem with this kind of placement here with the Moon in Cancer squaring Venus is that you are going to be more stubborn than usual, but the other person in the situation is not going to budge. So you're going to have to compromise here. So you might find that you have to have your tail between your legs and say, oh, I'm sorry, and you don't really want to, but it's almost like you're being pushed into the road and the other person's not moving. So you're going to have to compromise, unfortunately. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 5th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 5th house. So ideas around creativity and what you really want to do in leisure, you know, children and dating can really flourish now. You can feel really, really excited about things on the horizon and just wanting to live your life a little bit more, having a bit of a YOLO moment, as it were. On the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 10th house is actually trining Saturn in Pisces in the 6th house. So the energy might be a little bit off here because Mars in Cancer is in its fall, it's retrograding, it's like, bleh, it's not good at all. But you could use that discipline of Saturn and Pisces with that 6th house of both physical health, which can be discipline around your body and exercise and diet, but also discipline around your co-workers and work environment and setting your boundaries. And these boundaries are the ones that you feel are really right for you as well. So there could be an energy there as well. Overall, Libra, this is quite an interesting week for you. Very nice when it comes to love and relationships and some interesting energy around career as well. But generally, I don't think it's bad at all. I hope you enjoyed that and I'll move on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio, how are you doing? So this is the weekly horoscope from the 3rd of February to the 9th of February. So let's just get into it. On the 3rd, Mercury in Aquarius in your 4th house is trining Jupiter in Gemini in your 8th house. So this is really focusing on the big picture and dreaming big, coming up with exciting experiences to do with your home and family and the future. You could also be focusing on how your relationships are going to evolve with your family, you know, how they coexist with each other. On the 4th, Jupiter goes direct in Gemini in the 8th house. This is really lovely energy because Jupiter is a planet of expansion, abundance, and opportunity. Direct means we're going for our goals. In Gemini, that 3rd house of communication and productivity, altogether with the 8th house. This is quite nice because the 8th house is both physical and emotional intimacy and like an experience with somebody. And it's also trust and investments for the future as well. So this is really good if you're wanting to expand assets or investments and anything where you're planning money for the future. On the same day, Venus enters Aries in the 6th house as well. Venus in Aries is debilitated. It's not as nice as Venus in Pisces, for example, but it is still good energy to use because it can be harmonious when you use it in the correct way. And by that, I mean Aries is very sort of strong-willed and let's go for it. So use that to show that you're reliable. In the 6th house with co-workers as well, you could really be using the Aries energy to show that you're the boss, as it were, or like that you can be relied on. It could also be great for physical health as well and kind of having a wellness routine. On the 5th, Moon and Taurus in the 7th house of committed relationships is sextile Mars and Cancer in the 9th. So the emotions from the Moon and Taurus can really energize you when it comes to love, and you can use that Mars and Cancer to really bring a spiritual element to it. So this is really understanding what you want from your relationships in a very sort of soulful way, you know, really getting down to the meditation of it all. On the 6th, Moon and Gemini in the 8th house is trining Pluto and Aquarius in your 4th house. So really empower yourself emotionally and channel that passionate energy from the humanitarian energy of Pluto and Aquarius in that 4th house of home and family. So you could really be, again, doing something with your family members that's very intimate and it feels really nice. You feel like you're close to them, you can trust them. But you could also be focusing on the emotions that come from having trust and stability for the future with your family. On the 7th, Venus in Aries in the 6th house is sextile Pluto in Aquarius in the 4th house. So some real emotional bonds here with others can strengthen, especially with your home and family. So you're trying to really get that to be stable here. And I think that with that Venus in Aries in the 6th house as well, you're kind of trying to balance your wellness routine and how you actually feel good in yourself with your home and family. It could be that, you know, some things are very tiring here, getting a feeling of exhaustion coming through and you needing to take time for yourself. On the 8th, the Moon in Cancer in your 9th house is squaring Venus in Aries in the 6th house. So this is a stubborn energy. And this is also an energy where someone else is not going to move for you. I think this is an energy where a co-worker is butting heads with you, but they're not going to compromise. You have to be the one that compromises. That Moon in Cancer in the 9th house as well, it gives a philosophical wisdom to you where you have to be the wise old sage and say, you know what, I will be the better man here, as it were, and kind of, compromise. So it's a little bit of sort of, I don't really want to, but I think I'm going to have to. On the 9th, the Sun in Aquarius in the 4th house is conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in the 4th house. So ideas around home and family can really flourish. You could think about where you're living right now in your home and where you want to live, like your forever home, for example, or if the location is going to work for you financially and emotionally as well. And then also things to do with your family members as well. On the same day, Mars in Cancer in the 9th house is trining Saturn in Pisces in the 5th house. So that Mars in Cancer is already in its fall, but it's retrograding, which means the energy is completely off. Trining Saturn in Pisces, where the boundaries are just a bit like, there's a lot of discipline needed here. So you could really be focusing on your spiritual pursuits and, you know, trying to advance yourself, but also wanting to do fun things and maybe even dating as well. There could also be some kind of mismatch here about trying to have fun in your life, but, you know, not having that because of children. Whatever resonates with you. But overall, Scorpio, this is a pretty nice week for you. There's a lot of nice energy when it comes to, you know, investments for the future and then also focusing on your home and family. So I hope you enjoyed that video and I'll move on to Sagittarius.